Welcome everybody to the second video of quadratic equation in the series Mathematical Concepts. My name is Freddy, and today we're going to be going to examples of the problems that you can come across in the chapter Quadratic Equation. Now, this is the second video. In the previous video, we've introduced this chapter. We've analyzed it. We've explained some of the terms. We went deep into details as far as scrutinizing the chapter. So if you haven't watched the first video, I recommend that you start with the first video, and so that you may understand this second video where we are going to be solving some of the problems that you can come across in quadratic equation. Now, the first one we will be attending to is determine the root of 2x squared minus 5x is equals to 3. Now, just a brief revision. This is your standard quadratic equation. This is also a quadratic equation of the second degree. We call this an equation because you have your terms that are equated to 3. So when you see your equal sign, you know it's an equation. And then the first thing that you're gonna have to do when faced with a problem like this, you must first put your equation in standard form. Okay. Now, to some of you who don't know, who didn't watch the previous video, when they refer to the roots, they're actually referring to the x values. So we're going to determine the x values that satisfy this equation. So the roots are not just the x values, but the x values that satisfies this quadratic equation. And what we mean by satisfying the quadratic equation, we mean that those are the values, the x values, that when substituted into the quadratic equation, both the left side and the right side of the equal sign are equal. Okay. So you're gonna start by putting your equation in standard form. This is what we mean by an equation is in standard form. It is equal to 0. This is equals to 3, so it is not in standard form. So you're going to start by taking this 3 to this side. The sign is positive, and then when it comes to the side, it's going to be negative as a rule. So 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 is equal to 0. It's going to be your new quadratic equation. And then when it is like this, we say it is in standard form. So now there are two methods that you can find the value of x with. One is just by factorization, and then the second is by using the quadratic equation. Alright, I mean quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Both these methods were explained in a previous video, so I strongly recommend that you watch the previous video. Okay, so now the next step will be to factorize. So we're gonna go and do the first method. So in this first method, you're gonna look for the factors of the first term, the factors of the second term, that gives you the middle term. Okay, so we're gonna just go ahead and do it. So the factors of the first term, for 2, you will have 2 times 1. For x squared, you will have x times x. For 3, you're gonna have 1 times 3. But you want the factors that are gonna give you the middle term. So if you check, 1 plus 3 gives you 4. But 2 times 3 gives you 6, minus 1 gives you 5. So this will guide us. So because this is an equation of the second degree, we make two brackets. Therefore, we're going to put 2 and 1. Okay, the vectors of A. By A, I'm referring to this placeholder here, which is 2. And then for X, we're going to put X and X. Now we're going to go to the right hand side term, the value for C, placeholder for C. And then if you want to say 2 times 3, if you want to get 6, you're going to have to want to say 2 times 6 times 3 to get 6. So then you put your 3 here, and then because this middle term is negative, you're going to put your negative there. And then automatically this will become positive 1 because the factors of 3 is 1 and 3. So now you're going to test if this method is correct. If you factorized correctly, so you're going to do 2x times x, that will give you 2x squared, and then 2x times 3, that will give you minus 6x. 1 times x, that will give you a positive x. 1 times 3, that will give you minus 3, that is equals to 0. So you can already see that minus 6x plus x will give you minus 5x. 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 takes you back to the your standard quadratic equation. So that in itself says to you that you have correctly factorized your quadratic equation. This is stuff that you do on a scribbler. So which is why I'm removing it. So then your next step will be 2x plus 1 is equals to 0, or x minus 3 is equals to 0. Therefore your x will be equals to, this one will go that side, will be negative 1, and then you will divide by 2, which is negative half, and then this side you'll have x is equals to positive 3, since negative will go that side and become positive. Alright, now at this stage you will want to take these values, substitute them into your given quadratic equation to see if, when you substitute minus half into this equation, placeholding for x, do you get the left side equal to the right side? You're gonna do this for both, and in the previous video I've done that. I've shown why we do it. We do it to check if both these answers are correct, because it's not always the case that they come correct. Sometimes you find that one is correct, the other one is not. Sometimes you find that both of them are not. So it's important to do that exercise so that you can get the final answer, to be able to say only x is equals to 3, or x is equals to both are correct, or none of them are correct. Okay, so there you have it. That is the first exercise. So let's jump to the second exercise. Before we go to the second exercise, I just want to verify if the video is still taking correctly. Okay, looks like we are still enrolled. All right, great. Now on this one is a bit tricky, but not so tricky. So if you analyze this, you will realize that the term, the left side of the equation, x plus 2 squared, if you actually break it down into x plus 2, not break down, but yeah, break down, and you multiply that, it gives you this. And if you factorize this, it gives you that. Okay, so you end up having the same. Okay, so if you factorize this, you get this. Okay, x squared, x that, 2x, x that, 2x, 2x plus 2x, 4x, 2 times 2, positive 4. So now, if you work this out, you're going to end up with x squared plus 4x plus 4 this side, and x squared plus 4x plus 4 that side. And if you try and want to put your equation in standard form, you'll realize that if you take this x squared to the left, it becomes negative. So it will cancel that. This cancels that. This cancels that. Okay, so you'll end up with 0 is equals to 0. Now, when we come across such equations, we say that x is any real number, and because in this case any value of x will satisfy this equation, and yes, we leave it at that. Any value of x will satisfy the equation. All right, and that is why. And then let's come to this side, the third. Now this is another one which could be a bit tricky. What you immediately notice here with this problem is that although they didn't put 1 there, you know that there is a 1. Okay, you know that there is a 1. So if you look at your quadratic equation, you can see that the value of a is 1. The value of a is 1, but you don't have a value of b because you don't have an x, you have only x squared. And then the value of c is positive 7. That already should give you an alarm to say something isn't that quite right here for a quadratic equation. Now for you to find the value of x, you remain with x squared to the side, and then you'll take the 7 to this side, and then you have minus 7. At this stage you can also pick that there is another problem. Why? Because if you square any number, you're going to come out with a positive value. Okay, and here we're saying the left side is equals to minus 7. Already you can see that something is not so great there, because there is no way you can come up with a negative number from a perfect square. Okay, so now if you want to verify it even further, we can take it to the third step where you say, okay, fine, to remove x, the square, because we're not looking for x squared, we're looking for x. You put a square root there, and then this side you have minus 7. You'll put the square root there, because what you do on the left you do on the right. Okay, so now at this stage this will cancel that. You remain with x is equals to the square root of minus 7. This will be the furthest you can go, because you cannot find the square root of a negative number unless if you introduce complex numbers I, which is mathematics of a different level and of a different standard. This is grade 11 and 12 mathematics. So we will get to this concept of I at a different video in a different chapter, but still in concepts of mathematics. We'll get to it. Okay, no problem about that. So how do we conclude? We conclude by saying that there is no real solution for this for x. For this level of mathematics, we say there is no real solution. Okay, all right. Now we are done with that, and then we go into the next problem. The next problem, which is determine x if x plus 1 into x minus 2 is equal to 4. Now for this type of a problem, you're going to have to multiply your terms, because if you look at it, you cannot, and please don't say from this step that your quadratic equation is already factorized for you, so you can just say x plus 1 is equals to 4, or x minus 2 is equals to 4. Please don't, because you're gonna come up with a wrong answer. Please don't. You can only do that if the value here is 0. You can only do it if it's 0. because if it's not 0, then it means it is not in standard form. The rule of thumb is you must always have your equation in standard form. Okay, great. So what do you do when it is not in standard form? You multiply it. So you're gonna have x times x being x squared, x times 2 minus 2 being minus 2x, and then you're gonna have a positive x here, and then you're gonna have a negative 2 here, which is equal to 4, and then you're gonna group the likes. You're gonna have x squared minus x, since minus 2x plus x is minus x, and then minus 2 is equal to 4. Now at this stage you want to put it in standard form. So you're going to take this 4 to the side, which is positive, it's going to be negative. So you're going to have x squared minus x minus 6, which is equal to 0. Now at this stage, fellas, you have your equation in standard form, and therefore you can feel free to factorize. So now you're going to look for the factors of x squared and the factors of the first term and the factors of the last term that gives you the middle term. So here, because you have an equation of the second degree, you're going to make 2 brackets, and then you're going to have factors of x squared is x and x, and then you're going to share them like that. Factors of 6, you have 2 factors. You have 1 times 6, and you have 2 times 3. Now you're looking for the factors that can give you a 1 for the middle term. So 1 minus 6 will be 5. Cannot, or here you're gonna have 7 or 5, because 1 plus 6 is 7. 6 minus 1 is 5, and then here you're gonna have 2 plus 3 is 5, or you're gonna have 3 minus 2, which is 1. So already you can see that the factors that are favorable is this one because of this one thing. So we're gonna have to take those ones. We're gonna take 2 and 3, 2 and 3. Okay. Now we are having a negative x, so we're gonna want to have the 3 being negative and the 2 being positive, because negative 3 plus 2 gives you negative 1. Okay, and then your 6 is negative, so negative times positive is going to give you positive. So if you want to verify that, you very well welcome. X squared, then you have positive 2x, then you have minus 3x, then you have negative 6 equals to 0. So if you put this together, you get a negative x. So you've checked that your factorization is correct. So this is stuff that you do on a scribbler. Okay, as I emphasize. So at this stage, you're gonna then go ahead and say x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, your x will be negative 2, and then your x will be positive 3. All right. There you have it, fellas. Okay. So that is how you go about that one, and the tricks that you must look out for. Okay, so I'm just gonna erase there so that we have a clear distinction between the last problem and the following problem. Okay, so now for the following problem, we have we're given x minus 4 into y plus 2 is equals to 0, and they're asking you which values can y be if x is equals to 4 or x is equals to 1. Okay, now for this one we're going to substitute x for 4, place holding. Okay, so we're gonna say x minus 4 into y plus 2 is equals to 0, and then we say in place of x we're going to put 4 minus 4 into y plus 2 is equals to 0. This gives you 0, and then 0 times that will be 0, and then you have 0 is equal to 0. Okay, so we'll say y is an element of real numbers in this case. All right, or one can say one can decide to do this because this is in standard form flex. So it is permissible because this is in standard form. You've got your equation being equated to 0. So at this stage, you've got x minus 4 is equals to 0, or y plus 2 is equals to 0. You substitute x for 4, you have 4 minus 4 is equals to 0, or y plus 2 is equals to 0. Therefore, this one, 0 is 0 is equals to 0. So, right, but in case we're looking for the value of y, so you will have y is equals to negative 2, and then that will be your answer. That will be your answer. And then the other answer is y is an element of real numbers. In the previous method, the way we solved it the previous way. So you can go ahead and have two answers there. So in this case, when x is equals to 1, then you have a different scenario, because now your x minus 4 into y plus 2 is equals to 0. You can do it in both ways. You can say in place of x, you're going to put 1 minus 4 into y plus 2 is equals to 0. And then here you're going to have minus 3 into y plus 2 is equals to 0. And then this will give you minus 3y minus 6 is equals to 0. And then at this level, you can divide by minus 3. Or you can decide to take your 6 to the other side so that it becomes positive. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. So you can say minus 3y is equals to positive 6, and then you divide it by minus 3. Minus 3, what you do on the left side, you do on the right hand side. And then these cancels that, and then you remain with y this side, which is positive, and then you're going to have minus 2 that side. And if you look at it, you find that this answer is the same as the answer we got from the previous method on the other side. So your y is basically negative 2. So that answers that question. So we introduced this chapter in the previous video, and then in this video we're just doing the different ways in which you can be tricked, which is the examples. So if you have any question that you would like addressed in this chapter, quadratic equation, you can put it in the comments below, and then I will either do it in a video, in the next video. I will just revisit this chapter and do that sample for you, or I can help you we can do it together. In any case, thank you very much for watching. If you like what I do, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like buttons, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.